So today we're going to be talking about the terrifying truth of how inflation will affect your retirement and what you can do about it. Coming up next. Hi everybody, my name is Dee Burks and this is Retirement Rescue, where we talk about how to make money, save money, and create a great retirement. Well, inflation is one of the biggest thieves of your retirement money. And this is especially true if you're going to be on a fixed income or already are on that fixed income. And let's talk a little bit about why that is. When you're on a fixed income, inflation increases prices every year. Well, when you first hear that, it's like something and you've heard a lot. Oh, inflation will affect blah, 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 blah. You just don't really internalize what that means. Inflation is something that never goes down. Prices always go up. And the thing is, even if we have inflation that goes up really big for a year or two and then comes down, what people are talking about is the percentage gain comes down, but it's still a gaining. For example, food prices have gone up 30% in the last few months. 30%, y'all. Now, the government numbers on inflation say it's at about 5%, but those numbers haven't caught quite up to reality yet. And you hear a lot of people on TV and you might read things on the internet that say, oh, but it'll come back down to 2 or 3%, no problem. Okay, that's 2 or 3% on top of the 5%, which is actually, where food is concerned, at 30%. It continues to add on top. It doesn't go back down. The prices for that food aren't going to suddenly slide back down. It may gain at a slower rate in the future, but right now it is running hot. And for those people who are struggling to make ends meet and are already on that fixed income, they're going to have a huge gap because inflation affects everything. Energy prices are up. That's going to affect your heating. A lot of seniors and people on fixed incomes, they struggle already to make their heating bills. That's going to continue to rise. It affects housing. It affects your prescriptions. Everything goes up. And the thing with inflation is it happens so fast, it can really catch you by surprise. And that is what is happening right now to a lot of people. Just the food cost. It's like when you go to the grocery store and all of a sudden bacon has doubled in the last few weeks. It really catches you by surprise. What are you going to do? And it can make people really panic. But let's talk about some things you need to be putting in place right now. Number one is plan ahead. Think through the things that inflation is going to affect, like heating. And we're in the fall right now, so you need to start planning ahead for how you're going to deal with that. You need to do that right now. You need to start planning ahead for what you're going to do about rising food costs. How are you going to make up that difference? You need to plan ahead and expect your housing's going to get more expensive. Your insurance is going to get more expensive. Everything's about to get more expensive. What are you going to do about it? You've got to start thinking that through and coming up with solutions. You can't just sit there and let life happen to you. You're going to be in a hole if you sit and do nothing. So you really need to start planning now. Now, one of the first things that will help you is if you don't already have some other stream of income that is not a fixed income. If you have an Airbnb, if you have a soap business, if you've got a YouTube channel, if you've got anything that produces income, that's going to keep up with inflation. You're going to earn more as inflation goes up too. That's a great hedge against inflation if you have some money that is fixed, but you also have an income stream or two that are not fixed, that are going to keep up with inflation. That will help. And it is never too late. Don't sit there and say, oh, well, I don't have one, it's too late. It's never too late. It is never too late to help yourself. So if you were thinking about doing something that was going to earn you some income, now's the time to do it. The next thing you can do is plan now how you're going to adjust your lifestyle. If you were planning on downsizing, boy, you better get to it. Now's the time. You're going to need that extra money. But think about, what can you do without? What are the things that are going to get really expensive? I can tell you, I haven't eaten bacon in months, and that's why. I don't need bacon, and I can do without it, and it's too expensive right now. So think about the things you're going to start doing without, and then those things you really need, buy them on sale and stock up a little bit. And the last thing you can do is seek alternate solutions well in advance. You know you're going to have big heating bills. You know already they could be a problem. There are numerous programs that are going to be available. And if you didn't qualify before, you may qualify soon, because they're going to be loosening some of those requirements, because more and more people on a fixed income are not going to be able to pay their utility bills. So even if you didn't qualify before, go ahead and look into those and be sure you can take advantage of those as the requirements allow you to. Look into things like commodity giveaways. I know our state gives away a certain amount of food once a month, and you don't have to qualify or anything. You just have to show up. And it's meat and it's vegetables and it's all kinds of things. And you don't have to be poor or anything to take advantage of it, but it can actually help supplement those food costs. This is also true of prescriptions. There are many, many companies that have programs, and if you have a certain prescription, especially the more expensive ones, go ahead and check into their programs. See what they have for people on a fixed income. A lot of them have programs where you can get a certain amount of that supply for free, or you can get it dramatically reduced even below your copays. Check into those programs. There are more and more programs that will be introduced here in the next few months, the next year. Always check and see what you can qualify for, because fixed incomes become less valuable over time. And so, like I say, if you didn't qualify last year, it doesn't mean you won't qualify next year. So stay on top of it and think ahead. Now, the scariest thing to me with inflation is if you're struggling now and you still have another 10 or 15 years of retirement and that fixed income isn't going to improve, you will be struggling the entire rest of your retirement. That is one of the things that is so frightening. So figuring out how you're going to solve those problems, if you're going to move in with a relative, if you're going to sell some assets you have, whatever you need to do, you need to be making those plans, because your situation is not going to improve by itself. In fact, it's going to get worse. So be sure and think ahead, start making plans, and do something about your situation now. Don't wait. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, please click subscribe, and I'll see you next time.